Do you realize the likes of Render, AIOZ, Fetch AI, and projects that have seen incredibly strong moves recently have already moved a long way through their bull market? And that means that the number of multiples you can make from holding these projects is limited from here on in. But don't worry, there's a bunch of new projects that I think are going to blow the crypto world wide open that are releasing in the coming days and coming weeks. Projects that you may have heard of and projects that you definitely haven't that you need to. In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 of my favorite projects, one of which is going to be launching in the next 4 days, and you're definitely going to want to know about that one. So hit the like button. Let's get on with today's video. Now, guys, I am very bullish on AIOZ, and I think it's going to still see another couple of X from here, okay? But I want to show you something. Right now, I believe that Bitcoin, and you can see, is like having a mid-cycle pullback, okay? A mid-cycle pullback for Bitcoin happened around the 25th of January, 2021. We're seeing something very similar going on right now in the Bitcoin price. But look, this was Solana around the 25th of January, all the way back in 2021, around $3.8. From that price, it then ran up and did a whopping 63x, which is absolutely crazy. So in the time that Bitcoin went up like another 100%, Solana did a 63x. Whether you like Solana or not, you'll have to admit that a 63x is a pretty good ROI considering where we might be in this market cycle. So therefore, while I am bullish and I still hold the likes of AIOZ and a bunch of others, we have to admit that there is bigger gains to potentially be made in finding new projects early. So where should we be looking? Well, again, I focus again on narratives. Narratives are the key, the secret sauce to all of this. Not just because the narrative stands to benefit that project and what it actually could mean for the project, but not just that, but the retail investors like ourselves who are like, wow, we need to get into this coin because AI is going to be huge. Okay, this is where my mind is moving. Now, if you've been subscribed to my channel over the last few months, which hopefully you have, then you'll understand that I've got a bit of a penchant for DePIN, or decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And why is that? Well, because on one rare occasion back at the end of last year, I actually did a bit of research and I read the DePIN report provided by Messari, which changed my crypto world forever. And my attention was then drawn to this AI scaling issue. And AI, you will probably understand by now, is the industry that we should be paying attention to. Why? Because, guys, it is absolutely bonkers the amount of growth that's going on in AI right now. Therefore, I've kind of stacked these projects more heavily towards the AI world. But look, AI scaling issues and AI agents more specifically are struggling to develop at the rate they want to because they don't have the AI compute power. Therefore, a bunch of projects that are leaning towards AI compute are getting a lot of attention. But there's only 1 or 2 that can really deal with this massive growth in AI, and they're not really ones that are on this list, although I am still bullish on a handful of these. And here's why it's such a big deal. Compute requirements for AI apps are increasing by 10x every 18 months. The demand is massively outstripping the supply on Web 2 support for this. Therefore, we have to move towards a Web 3 model. Now, I think mass adoption happens when people are forced to have to go and interact with something rather than it just being out of a want. Most of you are in crypto because you want to make some quick and easy money. You're not here for the love of the tech and where it's going to go. And if you are, you're probably subscribed to someone else's channel. Kidding, guys. Obviously, you're in the right place. Now, here's the first one, Aether. You all know about Aether because Aether has been one of the most successful launches of this year, having an incredible node sale and all the other things, and this project's getting launched very, very soon. I also have heard a bit of a rumor floating around about Aether that they are also about to list or be listed on a tier 1 exchange, which would be huge considering the anticipation behind this project. Now, what makes Aether different from the likes of a Cash and a bunch of others is that they actually have the ability to support the growth in AI and support the demands that AI compute requires. And that's because Aether is a distributed GPU cloud. It basically supports the infrastructure for gaming and AI, and it does it by having access to over 20,000 H100 GPUs from NVIDIA. And this is an extremely important part because this GPU power is what AI needs. It doesn't need general computer power provided by the likes of gaming, etc. It needs this H100 power provided by Aether, and Aether is pretty much the only project that's able to do it, which is how it's managed to be backed by some of the biggest names across crypto, Animoca Brands, Merit Circle, etc. And they also have things like cloud-based porting, where you'll be able to access video games that maybe the device you're using isn't built to be able to run because the power demands are too big. And what I like about Aether is it's positioned itself perfectly between AI and gaming. Now, they've had a node sale, and there will be a hardware node sale coming up in coming days. And if you're subscribed to this channel, then I'll be bringing you more information about that as well. But Aether's already got over 200,000 users, 23 different node locations where they have different clusters of these GPUs powering the network. Also, while there are lots of VCs involved in Aether, they are all under a minimum of a 12-month lockup. They can't get access to any of their tokens. The team at Aether has a 3-year lockup before any vesting takes place. And this makes for an exciting project, especially as we lead into the bull market, even if this gets launched at a high valuation somewhere around the $1 billion mark. Now, I expect Aether to be launching sometime in the coming weeks, and because of those VC lockups, I think it's a fairly safe bet to be getting in early, because if the market recovers, this could look very strong indeed. But with a large market cap, could we be pushing towards 15, maybe $20 billion in terms of top valuation in this bull market? That's looking at like a 20x, which isn't bad by any means. But probably for those of you guys who like to click on videos where you see 100x, 500x, then you're probably going to be a bit disappointed with the realistic 20x that I'm offering you here. Now on to the next one, and one that I've talked about quite recently, peaq Network. Again, this fits into the world of DeepIn. And this one really does excite me because, one, it's a beast of a project, but two, it also kind of excites me in something else. I'm not techie and I'm not that fussed about a lot of the tech that has been brought out in crypto, but I do really quite like this. The concept of decentralization of pretty much everything, where everyone gets the access to being able to provide rewards and things like this. peaq Network is a blockchain, layer 1, built for specifically DeepIn projects. And that's really cool because at the moment you do have like Solana that's gathering a lot of steam. It's got Helium on it. It's got Render, Hive Mapper, and a bunch of others. You also then have some rollups that have come out with Eclipse and Caldera. But DeepIn focused layer 1s, you've got IOTeX and also peaq Network, which is built for enterprise grade integrations of DeepIn projects and was allowed them to gather this ecosystem of insanely large corporations. Tesla, Sony, Bosch, Airbus, Audi, the list goes on, okay? This is an absolute monster in the making. And because it's been built for DeepIn, and DeepIn is pretty much one of the fastest growing narratives within crypto, I can imagine that a lot of projects will already be looking at switching over to peaq and also in the future building on peaq. If you go and look at some of the projects that are already being built on peaq, then you'll understand some very exciting things are happening. Like you've got Airwave. And think of this as a concept, right? You just down in town and you've organized to meet a super hot, like, first date on Tinder, and you suddenly you're out of internet, and then you're like, oh my god, I can't find the internet, where is, I need to find her because I'm panicking. And then suddenly you realize that you can tap into a 4G network because you want to ask someone to hotspot their phone so you can get on this date, but they're like, well, I don't want to hotspot you, who are you? But imagine if you can contribute back to the network your hotspot data and get rewarded for it in tokens. This is basically what Airwave's doing. There's Natix, which is doing real-time street mapping. So instead of having to buy some expensive camera and strap it to your car that's then going to allow you to map the roads, or what Google does where they've got like 20 cars that map an entire country, you can literally just strap your smartphone to the dashboard, you can record as you're driving, and you can earn rewards for providing back to the network different street views and things like that. There's ones for noise pollution tracking. There's other projects being built where you could have like a car charging device outside your house and you could earn rewards when someone comes and charges their Tesla or whatever else it is outside. This I see as being the future. And if peaq Network is behind all of this, I think it's going to be extremely exciting. I believe the peaq Network live sale is actually on right now, but the actual token won't go live till sometime in June, I believe. So you have to go and find out more. But definitely, peaq is worth paying attention to. And these are all the projects that I've literally just talked about with no help. eLoop, that's the one I meant, okay? Where you can go and like charge cars and stuff. Yeah, some cool stuff on this website, guys. Definitely worth going and having a look. Decentralizing the world makes a lot of sense. And I think it's great for everyone within this world. Okay, on to the next one, which is imaginary ones.
Back when we were young, we were stupid, we were dumb, we were imaginary ones.
Right guys, obviously that's an absolute banger, but we're not going to do a crypto music video. We'll leave that for our friend Jerry Banfield. Now guys, if you're new to crypto or you weren't around in the last bull market, then you might not know what this project is, but it is an incredibly important one, which is going to launch in around 4 days. Now, why is this such an important project? Well, in the last bull market, you would have known this through the NFT sales, because this was one of the most successful, I'm talking like top 3 or 4 successful NFT projects of all time, because they created these like very cool little, bubble men walking around. And for those of you who don't understand NFTs and why they get so successful, but that's fine. Neither do I, okay? Now, imaginary ones, as you can see from what's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, your L, Yahoo, Vogue, Tatler, is a pretty big deal. And it's basically a platform that's been designed to bridge the gap between the Web3 and the real world. And that means it's like an all-encompassing project, linking shops, magazines, linking gaming, linking things like their Imaginary Juniors YouTube page, which has got 250,000 subscribers, which is sadly nearly twice as much as mine because you guys keep watching my videos and just not subscribing. So please, I'm begging you. And this has been basically making fun, like kind of sing-along stuff for kids. They're integrating with real world like fashion and stuff, like Hugo Boss line, which I've been told that when these t-shirts and stuff come live in the Hugo Boss shops, they sell out in literally minutes. People are fighting to get in the shops to buy imaginary one stuff. So all of these partnerships they've got are like real life partnerships. They have things coming up like gaming apps, which they've already managed to accrue hundreds of thousands of users during test phases. They've got like these like NFT art pieces, and they're going to have other things like kind of content and stuff coming up. This is like an all-in-one platform, and you can see some of these games are already getting tons of active users. You can go and download these games. Something else, when I look at gaming projects that's really important, is to see projects that are actually available to go and download and use. You can see this is quite similar to kind of other games and things in the market, and you can go and check out more. Now, all of this being run basically through the Bubble coin. And I'm going to come down below because I think what's really important is to understand why this is such a big deal. Look at some of the partnerships here. So we've got OKX, so pretty confident that this is going to be launching on OKX, which is a tier 1 exchange. Samsung, Hugo Boss, Shangri-La Hotels. You can come down below and you can see that they are backed by pretty much everyone that you need to see them being backed by. Adamoka Brands is the key name. You can go and find out more about the CEO. You can see ex-VP at Netflix. Sebastian was the COO at Sandbox. Then a few big KOLs floating around like Ivan and Tech and some others. Then you've also got guys for the ex-Disney. Now, this has been considered to maybe be the Web3 Disney going forward, which I know is a fairly outrageous statement, but back in the day for Disney, it was also a startup where probably people thought that it wasn't possible to become the empire that it has become. Now, I'm excited about this because it's already a very attractive looking project, right? But if you come through and you see sort of the roadmap of where they're headed into the future, you can see that it's basically built around imagination and the infinite possibility of things that you can create within this ecosystem. And who knows how many people get onboarded through this, okay? In the future, people sort of see the fashion and stuff like that, and they want to start buying this, and they have to kind of become part of the imaginary world to be able to participate in those clothing sales and stuff like that. Then this is something that could be very interesting going forward. So it's all basically about the Bubble token. And the Bubble token is going live on Bybit on the 14th of May. Now here's another reason I think this is going to be massive. Imaginary Ones have got 1 million followers on Twitter, which is a significant amount more than pretty much any other crypto project in its sort of early stages. And because of this, I can't help but like this project, okay? It's doing some cool stuff. It's got a team of experience. It's got loads of partners. And also it's got one of the biggest communities I've ever seen for a new launch crypto project. But coming back to the current Bitcoin price, you know, with new projects, if new projects launch into a time when Bitcoin continues to slide lower and lower, then maybe it could be detrimental to Bubble's kind of launch valuation and like how it performs after launch. But Bitcoin, as you can see, putting in sort of an inverse head and shoulders, and yes, I'm well aware of what that might look like, but if we can break beyond this kind of like line here, then there's a good chance that Bitcoin sort of goes on a run again, and that's very bullish for any project that manages to launch. When it comes to launching, it's very like hit and miss for projects on how lucky they can be. I'm not exactly sure at the valuation at which Imaginary Ones is going to launch at, but I think it might be a little bit lower than anticipated. I think there's a huge potential in this particular marketplace going forward, trying to onboard people into Web3. Not just onboarding crypto bros and whatever, but also onboarding like families and family members into playing video games and stuff and interacting with this whole ecosystem. Now, if you're wondering where you can pick up some of these projects and other cryptos, then I recommend you check out Bitunix, link down below in the description, because it doesn't require KYC and it doesn't need a VPN. Now, I've got an exclusive deal with Bitunix where they will list every coin that I basically asked them to list. And you better believe that every one of these coins that's getting listed over the coming weeks, I will be asking Bitunix to list on their platforms. Recently, they listed BVM, they listed AIOZ, Render, Fetch AI, and a bunch of other crypto coins, and they're continuing to do this every single day. This is the best exchange I've been using. So if you want an exchange with low fees that you can access no matter where you are in the world, that's going to have all the coins that I'm talking about, as well as being able to receive airdrops for various coins that I'm talking about, then make sure you sign up through that link down below. And if you're on a mobile, then you have to use the exclusive code that's provided with that link as well. Now guys, on to the last one, and one I think is the most exciting because it is incredibly early stages from a crypto point of view, but the one that already has tens of thousands of active users. Now, before I forget, and it's going to make MoMA much more relevant, and I want to talk about forgetting chatbots and the AI agents of the future. Now, to make it very simple, chatbots like Claude, my old friend that I use to help me with a lot of my research, ChatGPT and others are what are called large language models. Large language models are able to be fed with lots of information. They can then take that information and regurgitate it back to you in some like human-like form, which makes you feel like you've got a friend who's talking to you about stuff. But really, that language model is limited in that it only has the information that's been fed to it, and also it can't really do anything for you. So much like having an annoying girlfriend who continues to give you the information without actually actively helping you, solve the problem. The AI agent, however, is like having a really helpful girlfriend who not only knows everything, but will go and do things for you. And yes, I'm aware that's brutal, and I hope she doesn't see it later. Now, anyway, many people are talking about the importance of AI agents and it being the future. 97% of big businesses that have been interviewed about this are saying that they are starting to invest heavily in the development of AI bots and AI agents. AI agents are the future, and if we can capture a cool crypto project using AI agents early on, then guess what? We stand to see something very exciting going forward. Now, this is MoMate. Now, MoMate, as you come down below, you'll see lots of different faces. We can see Andrew Tate up here. You can see continue to chat. I have been talking to Andrew this morning, and Draco Malfoy, and a few others in here. Now, these are basically individual AI agents who have been programmed to learn about the subject that they represent. So, for example, Andrew Tate, you can talk to Andrew Tate, and he will respond as if Andrew Tate is the person talking to you. Now, I checked out him as an example because obviously he has quite a unique personality and he says some fairly outrageous things, and it's true to life. He does respond in this bot like that. And there's so many other like individuals you could basically like create and talk to. But this is not just limited to this. If you come down below, you can see you can learn a new language. You can plan your next vacation. You can have a personal fitness guru. So think about rich people. They have a tutor for their kids. They have maybe a personal trainer who's going to take them through what to do on a day-to-day basis. They have a personal assistant who's going to help them with their day-to-day tasks. All of these things can be created in terms of a digital form. You could then have a digital form who's going to walk you through a workout and talk to you and tell you what you should be doing and motivating you as you go through. You could prepare for an interview. You could get someone to help you with your kids' homework. You could get a designer on board who's going to be able to help you with things. Now imagine the productivity going forward. People like myself who run businesses that actually tend to be very busy because the amount of people I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis can use a lot of these things. I have a relatively small team, and there's a lot of things that I could get these people or AI agents to help me with the day-to-day running of my business. Now, this is a project that's already being supported by Aether, and that is using Aethir's cloud compute services to build its AI agents. Not only that, but Aether is unofficially supporting MoMate, and I think as we go down the line and MoMate becomes more established, there's a potential for a partnership between projects like Aether and MoMate. And this is a project already with tens of thousands of active users, and from very soon they're going to be moving onto the blockchain. Why? Because if you need AI agents to be able to carry out transactions and things on your behalf, they can only do it through a blockchain. No bank in the world is going to allow AI agents to run transactions through their bank. Therefore, it makes a good amount of reason as to why they would move on chain. Another thing you should consider when investing in projects: does this project really need to have a crypto coin? It seems to me that MoMate does. And because of the fact that this already has active users and has an infinite amount of possibilities, I think the future for a project like this could be insanely large, okay? But the price impact of bear markets for projects that actually have active users is significantly lower, okay? So they don't tend to dip quite as aggressively, and that was seen in a bunch of deep in projects in the last bull market, on average only dropping around 30% from all-time highs. So guys, make sure you're subscribed, and I'm going to keep you up to date with when MoMate is launching, because I have a feeling there's going to be a token sale coming up in the coming few months. I'm connecting with the team at the moment to try and find out more information about them, and hopefully I'll be able to meet with the CEO next week in Singapore and update you further on what's going on with MoMate. Remember, a lot of cryptos out there have had some good pullbacks, but you are still quite late. Therefore, your time right now should be invested in learning more about the new projects that are coming and the key narrative projects, because I think they could see explosive growth going forward. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then please hit the like button. And if you haven't, come on, what's wrong with you? Subscribe. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.